Hi to my Earth Dominant people. This is your reading for the week of June 21st, 2020. So Earth Dominant just means you have gone to astro.com and you see the majority of your planets are in Earth zodiac signs, or you resonate with Kapha dosha and Ayurvedic medicine, or you just want to see what's going on the material plane for the collective. That works too. Sometimes it shows up that way. Let's pull a crystal card and see where we're starting here. Mouse, hematite. So animal spirit of mouse, working with the crystal hematite, which is the most grounding stone. We have organization, scrutiny, vision. Spirit of mouse, help me make wise choices without fear holding me back from accomplishing my goals. Very earth, very earth resonant. Let's pull some oracle cards. So we're working with organization, our goals. Speak words of love. This might be affirmation work. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. So this might be about having self-compassion, right? As we refine our goal, set our targets for what we're manifesting on the physical plane, loving and nurturing yourself instead of criticizing along the way, right? Earth signs can be very self-critical. Earth dominant people can get stuck in fear and criticism of self. We have tiger's eye. I'm wearing tiger's eye. Self-confidence through God confidence. Believe in yourself by believing in God working through you. So a lot of pressure is taken off by understanding that what you're manifesting is a co-creation, right? It helps with the humility in the process, that this is your contribution to the world. So putting the focus off of self, right? Sometimes that's what happens when we're trapped in fear, trapped in self-criticism. We're so focused on ourselves that the ego tricks us, right, into either inflating our sense of self or diminishing it. So getting out of ego and getting into contribution, that's the need of the soul, right? The ego wants to feel significant, wants to feel important, but that's also a trap, right? It's a envious monster. It's never being satisfied, right? It's perfectionistic. So getting out of that trap and elevating our expectations by thinking of who we're contributing to, what we're contributing to, what's our legacy here, what wants to be birthed through us as a co-creation. It takes us out of the process so much, right? It's time to be adventurous and play. It's a time to be adventurous and play. The flowers are springing up, the seasons of singing birds has come, and the cooing of turtle doves fills the air. Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 12. So this is all a question of approach, right? How will I approach? It's less about what, isn't it? It's less about what's my contribution and more about how should I approach this? How should I approach it? I should approach it with self-love, a sense of co-creation with higher power. What's God's will for my life, right? Or spirit, right? Or co-creative forces, whatever language speaks to you. My higher self, right? What higher aspect of self is looking to achieve here or accomplish. It's a co-creation, and then also feeling like life's an adventure, so I can accept the challenges, right? And get into a resourceful state. I was listening to Tony Robbins talk today about the challenges he overcame getting out of his comfort zone as he started to grow businesses and overcoming some pretty serious obstacles along the way. And it reminded me of my grandmother. She had this vision of opening homes for the elderly in my town. She saw a need for that. And the first one she opened, she didn't know anything about business. She just started, right? And then didn't know there were regulations and, legal matters that needed to be taken care of. And so she had to self-correct along the way. Is that an approach you can take, right? Having a little more sense of adventure and playfulness around it, being a little more lighthearted. Not everything needs to be so serious. You can self-correct along the way, a path of growth. Sometimes, earth signs can get stuck into fixed mindset, right? And this is where the perfectionism comes in, but give yourself room to grow. That's what life's about. You're growing. It's okay if you're not perfect right now, if you don't know everything right now. That's not expected. And, you never will. So you'll never start. So this is about approach here. How do you make this sustainable? Maybe organizing your thoughts here, scrutinizing your thoughts, right? Maybe you've been scrutinizing who you are, deciding this vision's too big, that you're not enough to fulfill it. But can you just take the first step and see what happens and then self-correct if need be? Make wise choices without fear holding you back from accomplishing your goals, right? Getting out of fear. Earth dominant people tend to get stuck in fear. Let's go to the archetype cards by Carolyn Meese and see what aspect of self, what part wants to take the spotlight here. Maybe lend some wisdom to this experience. Whatever it is you're creating here. Whatever you sense your contribution is. This vision, this idea, this creative dream. Notice it's giving us the how. Maybe the what isn't as significant. Maybe that will evolve and shift and change. Something else that came up with Tony Robbins was, he was saying, don't fall in love with your product, don't fall in love with your business, because that's going to have to evolve and change and shift and grow. Fall in love with your ideal client or ideal customer. Fall in love with them. We have Messiah archetype, the light attribute, serving humanity and with humility. Right? I love when that happens. Helps me know I'm on the right track. So serving humanity with humility, right? Falling in love with your ideal client, ideal customer, ideal target for your contribution, right? Who is benefiting from what gifts you have to bring. And then the shadow attribute is exaggerated belief that you are the only means through which a cause can succeed, right? So getting back to humility. This is a co-creative process, and it's more about approach and growing along the way. Let's see if there's a guide with the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. What's the guiding force here? Elder. Elder. Interesting that Tony Robbins and my grandmother came up here. I am Earth dominant, so move beyond ancestral patterns. So maybe there's an ancestral pattern here that has you stuck in fear. Sometimes what can happen is, I feel like my hair is itching my face. Sometimes what can happen is we have an unconscious allegiance to maybe a grandparent, great-grandparent who, or even parent who, or sibling, can be anywhere across the board. We have this unconscious allegiance to them. And that can show up as, I don't want them to suffer alone, or I can't do better than them because I don't want to outshine them, right? So it can put a ceiling on what we're able to achieve and accomplish. So we want to look there. Is that showing up for you? Does that resonate now as you hear those words? Looking back in your ancestral system, is there someone you have an unconscious allegiance to who you don't want to suffer alone? And that shows up as self-sabotage. So you want to look there to prevent that from happening. I'm going to go to the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti and see what's in the cards, what's in the tarot cards here. Involving your contribution. Interesting. I definitely feel like this week I'm more energized during the readings, so I'm hoping that shows up. Okay, so what's being highlighted are choices, options. So maybe you're at a fork in the road, right? That's the first card in the spread, the Two of Wands. So maybe there are a couple of things you're passionate about, you're trying to decide between, or two paths for this vision to sort of take place, or it just feels like a time of transition, a time of change, and you're not sure what steps to take. The bottom of the deck is the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups is about choices. Some of them are real, some are imagined, right? As you can see, they're floating. There's elements in there, outcomes, right? Things we want to manifest. They're showing up as choices. And this is about, organizing your thoughts, getting real with yourself about expectation. Knowing that the vision is often the guiding post, right? The North Star that's guiding you, but perhaps not the actual destination or outcome. So how you want to manifest is through emotional resonance. And the cups are showing up, right? So seeing the choices laid out there for you, choosing one that draws you in. What's the emotional resonance of that, right? So if you see the fire and you're like, yes, I like the fire. What's fire feel like inside? Is it passion? It just lights you up. You can see the fire in your eyes. You're illuminated. The path is illuminated for you up ahead. There's enlightenment. Right? There's a light shining on it. It might be a sign to collaborate with fire dominant people that are really motivated, right? That are trailblazers in a way, right? Who can help illuminate things for you, keep you motivated and passionate. It can also be getting in touch with your own inner fire. And then you might see the dove and think, peace. I need more peace. I'd like to feel more peace. So getting in touch with the emotional resonance of peace, right? What does that feel like in the body? Where do I feel it? I feel it here. Okay. Is there a color? I've seen green, and then I'm seeing a rainbow, similar to what's on the cups. A texture. It's a little cool. It's cooling. It's cooling. And it's sort of like a coming down feeling, like a heavier feeling instead of wanting to float up. It's a groundedness. There's a grounding here. So you're just exploring that. And then with the emotional resonance, You'll get really in tune and in touch with it, and then breathe it into every cell. With your mind, you're scanning the body with your breath so that that feeling goes into every cell. And then once you feel that, you'll radiate it out. And then anchor it to that outcome that you associate it with, right? So it might be the perfect job or whatever you're envisioning, right? The perfect career, the perfect product, the perfect partner, the perfect location, whatever it is, whatever you're associating it with and anchoring it to, envision that. But with manifestation, it's a co-creative process. So you want to say this or something better, right? You don't have all the foresight. You don't have all the insight. So make sure you're adding or something better to the manifestation process. And then we have the Seven of Swords here coming up after the choice card. So maybe there were moments in the past where you chose to collaborate with the wrong person, or partner with the wrong person, right? And maybe they stole your ideas. There was some manipulation. They stole your attention, validation. Maybe they felt toxic, right? Maybe there was some energetic vampirism happening and you just felt off balance, a bit dismayed from ever collaborating again. But the Six of Swords is coming in to show you're moving into smoother waters, right? This might have been a lesson for you through contrast, what you value. Maybe you ignored some red flags. Now you can look back and say, yeah, okay, I'm not putting up with that again. I'm going to call that out as soon as I see it, or I'm going to know for next time who's trustworthy, who isn't. You learned a valuable lesson here. And then moving into smoother waters, you're moving to the King of Cups. So this is either you leveling up or probably possibly collaborating or partnering, or a meeting with this king. It would be maybe a water dominant male or water sign male, right? Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, who has mastered their emotions, a sensitive, compassionate, empathetic king, but someone who has a certain amount of mastery in their life, right? They leveled up. They have this commitment to excellence in their life. So it's someone who will be valuable, who will be a match to you, right? In the process. Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards. Maybe that is the elder, right? Maybe the King of Cups is this elder, this guide, or this Messiah archetype, someone who has a message for you, someone you can co-create with in some way. Maybe he's the best choice, right? As we have these cup choices, maybe he turns out to be the best choice, right? As you sort of call him in through resonance. Let's pull an Angel Medicine Oracle card. Oops. Goddess. Goddess. Express your divine feminine energy, embracing its magical intuition and nurturing qualities. Embrace your divine feminine energy, embracing its magical intuition and nurturing qualities. So this lesson helped you learn through contrast, right? So don't allow it to mess with your resonance. Allow it to inform you, right? To catch the red flags sooner. But trust that your intuition is going to lead you into smoother waters and to a better match, right? This King of Cups, using your feminine yin energy to draw in through radiance, right? As opposed to maybe overdoing or feeling like you need to do more. Maybe that's part of how the fear shows up for you. It's doing more, radiating less, and you're asking to flip that, right? And understand it as a co-creation. So balance that approach with matching frequency like we did earlier. And then you'll be guided intuitively about what's right action, right? So you'll make wiser decisions, wiser moves. I think that was part of the mouse and hematite card. Spirit of Mouse, help me make wise choices without fear holding me back from accomplishing my goals. And that'll come, you'll align to that through your intuition as you get in touch with the emotional resonance of the outcome you're seeking. That'll help you take wiser actions towards that outcome, right? Instead of just having the vision and not considering what will be fulfilling or what will bring you passion, right? We want to make that part of the manifestation process instead of just the vision or the outcome that you're attached to, right? Because we don't know that it will bring you that emotional resonance. That's just what you're anchoring it down with. So make sure you say or something better in the process. One last card from the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr. See how we want to wrap up this reading. We have Tell the Truth. Tell the truth. Communicate with integrity. You may need to level with someone. This person could even be you. And are you saying you're fine when you don't mean it? Are you swallowing your needs because you don't want to rock the boat? When we hide the truth, it eventually comes out in destructive ways. Act with integrity and say what's on your mind. While honesty may lead to short-term discomfort, your long-term peace and happiness are worth it. So there will be some coming out of the comfort zone as you're more honest with yourself about what you want, and more honest with other people, maybe even putting boundaries around people you once let in to sort of use this creative energy or take your ideas and run with them themselves. So standing in your own personal truth to empower yourself, learning from, get in touch with, is there an unconscious allegiance here that's keeping you stuck? The awareness will help initiate the healing. And remember that this is a co-creation, that you're being guided, right? So stay humble along the way. That will help you stay humble by falling in love with your ideal client, your ideal audience, your ideal customer, the ideal recipient of your contribution instead of what you're giving itself, right? So helping that get you back into humility, as well as the fact that this is a co-creation. All right, I hope that was helpful. I hope that resonated. Let me know in the comments. Check out your other dominant element readings. Thanks for liking the video, subscribing to the channel. Let me know if you want a personal reading or a session, if you want to donate to the channel. Those links will be below in the description. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, Earth Dominant. Hi there to my Water Dominant people. This will be your reading for the week of June 21st of 2020. So water dominant just means you really resonate with the water dominant or water style, right? Your water sign, or you've looked at astro.com at your chart and see the majority of your planets are in water signs, right? Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, or you want to see what's happening in the collective emotionally. It might show up that way too. Let's pull a crystal card and see where we're getting started. So we got a playing card, Bismuth. Bismuth is 6 of Hearts. Interesting, 6 of Hearts is my card in the life cards system. Have you ever seen that? It's like there's a love cards book and there's a life card, and you can see what card correlates with your birthday, and mine's 6 of Hearts. That's interesting. Bismuth, transformation, cohesion, change. Transformation, cohesion, change. I know bismuth helps in working with group dynamics, helping people work together. Interesting. So maybe there is a question here of harmonizing within a group of people. Let's pull some oracle cards. Emotions. Hello. That's what we're looking at here. Okay. Emotions. Justice. Your career brings fairness and protection to others who need your help. So maybe right now, this idea of harmonizing a group that maybe has been exiled, helping them find justice. Right now, we're in Pride Month. We're also seeing the uprising of the Black Lives Matter movement, and so there has been question about integrating and harmonizing these all of these different groups into society, right? It almost feels like America is in this awkward teenage phase, right, where we're really trying to figure out how to make this work. Maybe this is, justice is something that really speaks to you. And seeing that other people feel justice, right? Experience justice. Make time to work, rest, and play. Make time to work, rest, and play. We were filled with laughter and we sang for joy. Psalm 126, verse 2. Make time to work, rest, and play. So, justice might be also justice for yourself, right? Maybe you're really resonating with a cause or a movement or a group right now because there's part of you that didn't feel heard, didn't feel seen, that felt exiled, right? And so you have a deep empathy, and maybe that's been weighing heavy. So making sure your well-being and wellness is cared for right now, as you stand in your power, right? So that you are able to support anybody else, right, who needs it. So balancing, making sure you're taking time to rest and care for your needs. Finding time to experience joy and laughter, right? To really appreciate and enjoy life. Maybe that's justice too, right? I know that that's been coming up for me as I work on educating myself and also learning. It's really, it can weigh very heavy to really look at the truth of the history of this country and what people have gone through, people that have lost their lives too soon. And I had to really sort of look at ways I wasn't fully living. I wasn't coming fully alive. I wasn't enjoying life. And maybe honoring those people that weren't able to by really another way of honoring them apart from grieving would also be to really enjoy life, right? And to be grateful for it. So that's something too. Let's go to the archetype cards to see what part wants to take the spotlight here. I'm also seeing an improv group I used to work with. I used to take improv classes. I don't remember the company, what it was called. I only took a few there. But when I'm thinking of play as well as cohesion and group dynamics and working with a group, these improv games are coming up. So I wonder if while you're sort of establishing group dynamics, you're also doing some of these like there's a certain game we would play where we would throw an imaginary ball or maybe even sometimes a real ball to different people. I think it was imaginary though. And we would take what the last person had just said and build on it, right? So, or say a word that starts with the next letter of the alphabet or something like that. So that we're all kind of playing and doing something together and building momentum and tuning in to see who's going to be the next person, right? So I'm seeing something like that. I have priest as the archetype coming up. The light attributes of priest facilitate spiritual commitments, serves as a channel of spiritual energy. And then the shadow attributes violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. So facilitates spiritual commitments, serves as a channel of spiritual energy, violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. So maybe, sometimes bismuth has been really helpful with collaboration in a group. I mean, it could be a spiritual activity or meditation, or, I would probably, phenokite is something I associate more with group meditation, but bismuth, I guess, could work. I tend to think of it more as a collaboration of ideas, and I guess that could work as meditation. So maybe there is some spiritual practice here that you're working within a group. Maybe it's group healing, group meditation, group manifestation work, some kind of a team. Let's go to the, and you know, maybe you have insight around the wisdom of not putting yourself on a pedestal or a stage, but putting yourself at the same level of the people in the group, even if you are the leader. That feels more natural to you. I'm going to pull a card from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray and see if there's a guiding force here, or what's the guiding force. What's coming in right now is, I have a friend who I went to musical theater conservatory with, who was recently marching in the peaceful protests, and there was a video on Facebook of him singing, using his voice. He has an incredible, powerful singing voice, and he was using it to guide and lead the group in chanting and bringing them all together. I'm also seeing there's a young black boy named Kedron Bryant who sings mostly gospel music. He also I think he improvised a song. I think it's called I Just Want to Live. It's on Instagram. If you look up Kedron Bryant, Keedron Bryant. I talked about him before. He sings this song, and when you think of the context of everything that's happening right now in the Black community and in America in general, right? As we all sort of take accountability for our participation in what's happening and decide what our role is, and deconstruct any sort of implicit biases and things. These things are breaking down in the collective for those who are committed to growing in that way, right? For their own liberation as well as the freedom of others. His voice, his message, it's really moving. It moved me really deeply when I first heard it. It's just, so if you haven't heard him sing this yet, look him up on Instagram, or I guess even Facebook, but, yeah, so something about using your voice to harmony. Maybe it is about harmonizing in a group, right? Because I was thinking about emotions, and music and sound really have an incredible influence over our emotional state. When you sing and you use your voice, you use your entire body, all of your cells, all of your bones vibrate, right? With the resonance of that. It's a powerful tool for manifestation too. I once had a voice teacher who would have me meditate before I would go into singing. It was a particular song I was singing called Make It To Me by Sam Smith. And I would tune in. I remember one time I tuned in, I was meditating on the song, and then I sang it from that place, right? It was kind of just to help keep me in alignment instead of over singing, because I had a tendency to over sing. And so it was a way of meditating to get me into alignment, to prevent me from over singing. Make It To Me, right? Which is written like a prayer. It's a really incredible song by Sam Smith. It's on my SoundCloud channel if you want to take a listen. But what ended up, I think I linked that in the description. But what ended up happening was I did the meditation and I sang. I think we only did that one time in a lesson where she had me meditate because I was over singing. So I meditated on the message and sending this vibration out. And then I also sang it, which carried the intention out further. And Make It To Me is about, the person that's meant for you to come, towards you, to find you. You find each other, right? And what ended up happening was someone I had dated 5 years previously ended up reaching out to me a couple of hours later, like within hours of me doing that. It was really incredible. That person didn't end up being my person. I don't think he's my person. I mean, we're still in contact now, but I don't really believe he's my person. But it was just the fact that happened because I hadn't talked to him in like 5 years. So it was pretty incredible. My mind was sort of blown by that. I do think, it helped clear the path at least, because sometimes you have all these pending interactions that need resolution, and music can do that too, right? It can bring it, music resolves at the end oftentimes, which helps a situation resolve. Let's pick an Angels and Ancestors Oracle card. So spring. See your seeds grow. So this is telling me it's a really fertile time to plant seeds. Like I was just describing, you can do so by using your voice that way, right? Setting intentions, almost like the dandelion that you blow the seeds. It can be like that with intention setting and using your voice to carry the vibration far and wide. In the journey through the tarot, we use a singing bowl, right? A frosted crystal singing bowl at the end to integrate what we learned that week with the card, and then to call in synchronicities and lessons to deepen our understanding with the card of the week. So something like that for your manifestation process here. And creating harmonizing, understanding group dynamics and celebrating differences so that there's synergy. It's not that everyone needs to conform and be the same. It's that we honor the differences so that the right synergy is created. There was an image on Instagram. I shared on Instagram and Facebook that was about a wolf pack kind of in travel, and I don't know who created the image. It just really spoke to me. People were saying it's not true, that it's not accurate, but it was still interesting to me. I would love to know how they were really formed, how the line was really formed. But it was saying like the weakest were in the front, right? The elders were in the front because they were the weakest. So they were setting the pace of the line. And then there were the strong wolves, some of the strongest of the pack behind them for protective purposes. And then I guess vulnerable wolves in the middle, right? Less strong, more weak or vulnerable, and then more strongest, and then the leader was behind. The leader was behind, keeping everyone safe, as well as making sure no one got left behind. So, I mean, that speaks to justice for me. Now, like I said, someone said fake news, this isn't true. Okay, but I am interested in group dynamics in that way. Let's go to the Alchemical Tarot Renewed by Robert M. Place and see if there's any more information. I'm trying to keep these a little bit more brief, so it's just not so much to digest, and so that it's more sustainable for me. I don't get worn out. So let's pull a few cards and see if there's more information that wants to come through around creating a, harmony within a group. With the theme of justice, enjoying life through play, balancing work, rest, and play, knowing when it's time to work for the cause, when it's time to rest, when it's time to enjoy life, right? Maybe using spiritual tools like meditation, manifestation, intention setting. Now is a perfect fertile time to plant seeds. Okay, so we have the High Priestess, and this is about manifestation through yin energy, right? So resonating, vibrating. Usually the High Priestess isn't vocalizing, is quiet. It can sometimes symbol, because she's, putting her finger over her mouth, a symbol for silence. So maybe this is intention setting through meditation, in silence and solitude. We have the Queen of Staffs here. The Queen of Staffs can sometimes represent a choice or a decision. So on the refined side, right, you can see one's a raw staff, one's a refined. The refined side is the High Priestess. And on the raw side is the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is sort of stuck, right? He's in waiting. He's in suspense, suspended in time. So maybe in the past, there was this sense of waiting for life to begin, waiting for signs of life, right? Waiting for guidance. Waiting for all the information to come to you. And maybe you're refining that in participating in the process, right? By manifestation, doing manifestation work through meditation or intention setting or anything else, right? Using that creative fire and passion by creating with your own tools, within your own hands, with co-creative forces, right? And then using that time of suspension to wait for the ships to come in, right? As divine inspiration comes in, more guidance, more synchronicities, right? So participating in the process instead of just waiting it out, right? Instead of just waiting for life to begin, taking some control over the process of co-creation. Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards. Workshops and seminars. Attending and giving speeches is part of your spiritual path and purpose. Be open to teaching and learning. Interesting, right? Because when the priest came up, that's when facilitating some kind of meditation or group work came up, some kind of group dynamic, and staying on their level instead of, being on a stage or elevating yourself somehow might feel more comfortable to you. So consider that. And then let's end the reading here. Maybe that's part of what you're manifesting. This opportunity to lead a group. Knowing that emotions are very contagious. So focusing on harmonizing that. Let's pull a Crazy Sexy Love Notes card from Chris Carr's deck. See how we want to end this reading. A new day. A new day. So let go of what was in order to make room for what's to come. It may be time to release a relationship that has run its course, a job that's lost its luster, or a depleting commitment. The past is over. What's done is done. Acknowledge the feelings, learn from the experience, and give yourself permission to release any negative emotions or guilt. When one area of your life falls apart, new opportunities fall into place. Okay, so part of the manifestation process will be detachment from outcome, right? Manifesting this or something better. So not getting attached to outcomes, waiting for the divine inspiration and synchronicities to come in so that you know what guided actions to take. All right, I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if this resonated. Check out your other dominant elements for more information. Thanks for liking the video, subscribing to the channel. That's really meaningful to me. If you want a personal reading or session or to donate to the channel, thank you for anyone who's donating. That's very helpful. Those links will be in the description. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye to my water dominant people. Hi there to my fire dominant people. So fire dominant just means your fire sign, or you went to astro.com and you saw the majority of your planets are in fire signs. You are Vata, or not Vata, Pitta dosha in Ayurvedic medicine. Sorry, I'm tired. Or you want to see what's going on for the collective as far as action, movement, what's gaining momentum here. Sometimes it shows up that way. Let's pull a crystal card from Healing Crystals and see where we're starting here. Well, we got quick facts. I don't know if I'm going to take this. I got a quick facts card about all the different formations. About the formations. There's even a back here. Different types of formations of crystals and their meanings. So it's hot in here. So maybe that card came out for a purpose. So I'm going to keep it. I think that maybe there's something to interesting. I think the Great Wall of China is showing up on my screensaver or home screen for my Chromecast. So maybe there's something about seeing formations in nature and they're having meaning for you. This week we are working with, or this past week, because we're watching this on the 21st. So this is for the week of June 21st, 2020. This past week we worked with, I tend to record all my videos on the same day, so forgive me. I'm trying to figure out where this is being placed in the timeline, but this will come out on Sunday. So on Tuesday, I published a video for the Tarot series, Journey Through the Tarot. And the card we're working with, I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. The card we're working with is the Knight of Wands. And there was a question about in the background whether it was sort of hills or pyramids in the back, or mounds. I think was the word that was used, mounds or pyramids. And that makes a difference because one is just an indication of the type of terrain that's sort of naturally occurring, and then one is man-made, and put there with intent, right, for a purpose. So that came in for some reason, and I saw the Great Wall of China there. So I'm going to pull some oracle cards and see where we're going with that. So I do think there's meaning there. I'm just not really connecting the dots quite yet. Acknowledge God's truth. Acknowledge God's truth. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John chapter 8, verse 32. Acknowledge God's truth. I'm sort of seeing, since there was this contrast between the mounds, which are naturally occurring, right? God's truth in a way, and then the pyramids, which would be man-made, which in real estate they would call an improvement, right? Ironically. So there might be something about this complicated way of saying being around more naturally occurring structures, environments, maybe working with raw crystals as opposed to tumbled this week, or different formations that speak to you, different crystal formations that speak to you. Right, whatever that might mean to you. Let's go to another oracle card. It is safe for you to love. Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. It is safe for you to love. So, I was watching sometimes I like to balance myself with different perspectives. So sometimes I was raised Catholic. Sometimes I have an aversion to people being very preachy about the Bible, and but other times it's really healing for my soul to hear the structure that people have found through scripture, and sort of the epiphanies they've come across. And I was listening to a man talk about I don't even remember his name, but he was talking about waiting for the person God has destined for you, right? As opposed to what lust or personal desire, and he was talking about I think he was talking about how you'll know the difference. You'll feel it, you'll sense it. It will be, there will be a sense of destiny. There will be a sense of compatible focus on the purpose. Focus on purpose, right? What you're here to do, what you were created to be, and who was created to walk that path with you. That it will feel different than other experiences you've had. So maybe there's someone that you're talking to right now, or getting to know, or you're in relationship with right now, and you're questioning. In family constellation work, whenever that would happen, where someone was having a stagnancy or a confusion in a romantic partnership or with a potential partner, what they might find, or what we would do is we would get the person out of the dyad of just relating to this person like they're alone and two individual isolated entities relating to each other, put in resources for them, right? Like the ancestral system, or but the main sort of movement that would shift the energy of the dynamic was getting the client, whoever was coming in for transformation, right? Usually it would be one person. Generally it would be the woman, the feminine in the relationship. Get them out of focusing on the person that they're with, the partner or the potential partner, and have them focus back, facing their future, their purpose, and moving towards that future. Take one next step towards your future. What that would do is create movement forward in life. And so the person in question, whether or not that's the right person, would then be faced, the ball would be in their court. They would then be faced with a choice to either stay stuck, move off in their own direction, or move forward and walk with their person, right? And that would sort of be the determining factor. So the answer never is to stand and wait and to come out of your own purpose, right? There's so much power in knowing what you're here to do, knowing who you are, and staying committed in line and aligned to that. And then we don't get enmeshed or overly attached to a person. We get better at regrouping, refocusing, and focusing on purpose and future, and committing more emotional energy into that and staying aligned. Fire dominant people are actually really good at that. So, and sun is coming up. Your sun is watched over and protected as he explores his world. So this could be, if you have a sun, referring to that. Maybe this is the person you're worried about. It could also be this aspect of yourself that is really adventurous and loves to explore and be out in nature, right? Explore God's creation and see signs and synchronicities. Listen to the birds, right? That might be a really powerful way for you to connect back? Have you been walking out in nature? Because in that sense, you know, you're connecting with these different formations that are naturally occurring, right? Connecting to God's truth, a higher power, your place in those dynamics, those naturally occurring dynamics. Let's go to the archetype cards by Carolyn Meese and see what part of you wants to take the spotlight here. We have child magical. So this is a child archetype, maybe much like the sun who's exploring nature. Sorry, I had the sniffles a little bit. The light attributes: seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible. And then the shadow attributes: pessimism, depression, and disbelief in miracles, believing that energy and action are not required for growth. So the child archetype can be an archetype of survival, right? So a child may feel powerless, maybe giving into fantasy, magical beliefs, and thoughts in order to cope, right? In order to be able to manage and cope with the present reality. So maybe there is a little bit of escaping through magical thinking, instead of taking care of the part of the process that's in your hands for manifestation, for co-creation. Part of this trusting that it's safe to love is trusting yourself, looking back and seeing all you've come through, right? Maybe there's a question here, being vulnerable, and that doesn't feel like it would feel very good to you, right? That can be challenging for an independent fire dominant person. So independence just feels like freedom, more like freedom than vulnerability in relationship. Feels like there's more to lose there sometimes. So maybe it is helpful to see that it's about forward movement. It's not about staying stuck to relate to somebody, right? And that you have participation in this co-creative process with your creative fire. Let's go to the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray and see what's the guiding force here. I just want to make sure they're good and shuffled because they tend to stick together. So we have Air Guardian. Air Guardian, shift your perception. So that means that the shift that's happening is going to be on the mental plane. So maybe it is looking at the magical thinking of escaping, instead of taking control of the aspects that are that are within your influence here. By manifesting this relationship or whatever it is you're looking to co-create here. A sense of wellness, a sense of passion for life, or trust in life, right? Maybe we're looking at relationship to life here, and that can be reflected in relationship to mother. So looking there for those influences and how we can shift the thoughts around that into empowerment. Let's go to the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti and see if there's any more information that wants to come in. Around it maybe being safe to love life, enjoy life. Instead of feeling like you need to escape out, waiting for life to begin, right? If you know Once on This Island, the musical, waiting for life to begin. Maybe looking at some of these ways we cope instead of just dealing with reality. And maybe that's what's happening and it's uncomfortable as we sort of come down. Okay, interesting. So the Ten of Wands, you know, where did this pattern start? Sorry, the ring light, I know. Can you see the burden this gentleman's carrying here? You don't have to be a man to resonate with this card. The Ten of Wands is about burdens we carry. That can be a legacy burden, meaning it's ancestral. It didn't start with you. So can you see this pattern being carried out? Where did it start? Where was the first time you noticed it in the family system? Looking back at relationship dynamics, can you see where maybe you're unconsciously carrying this belief about relationship or about life, right? That life's hard, or right, there's a repeated statement about life that you're sort of carrying out still like a mantra, and it doesn't really work. It's outdated. It doesn't even really apply, but it definitely affects your mood. So we're looking at these things. You might even notice similar posture, right? As the heart collapses because, right? Or either the heart collapses and we hunch over, like the posture here in the Ten of Wands, right? It's so heavy. Weight of the world. Or it can also be this puffing out the chest, right? To just endure life, right? Whatever it is, it might also be tilting back of the head as we fantasize or tune into something higher, something more worth my attention, right? So just noticing where it shows up in your body. It's physiological as well. The Temperance card is the first card in the spread, and this is the Sagittarius card. Temperance is about that learning curve, learning patience, learning impulse control. Temperance is the learning curve for the fire dominant, right? So maybe there is specifically Sagittarian influence. But temperance is certainly, learning to manage that impulsivity, that just wanting to go, just wanting to move. Blaze the trail, right? Burn through karma, instead of pacing ourselves here. That might be part of what happens. We get into impulse, and then there's a quick forward movement, right, as the Chariot appears. So we get in our car and we go, we make a move, and then to manage standing the ground and holding that progress we just made, that we just moved so quickly, in order to sustain it, now we have to find some way to cope with all of the discomfort of this new ground we just covered, right? And so it's really uncomfortable because it's really unfamiliar. We just impulsively moved forward, moving on instinct, and then all of a sudden it's a whole new circumstance, situation. We created a whole new paradigm by moving so quickly, maybe even without thinking it through. And then how do we hold our ground? How do we stand our ground? Maybe it's to escape in fantasy, right? Maybe it is to either turn on the TV and absorb whatever's going on there, or to envision a better place, envision a better life. Right? Envision a perfect partnership here. How can we be more stable? The Four of Wands is about stability. It is about union and partnership. How can we make sustainable change? By, using temperance as a guide. Temperance is learning to temper that impatience, that impulsivity, right? To learn to manage it, to balance it, right? To come into a greater state of balance. Otherwise, we might find ourselves in this dynamic of moving quickly, charging forward with swift momentum, blazing a trail maybe, and then we're really uncomfortable. Maybe we've even been harsh or blunt or calloused towards other people's feelings, and then find ourselves with new enemies, and we're defending ourselves. So learning to temper can help bring sustainability in relationships, harmony. This might be the learning curve here that we're looking at, specifically with fire dominant people. That makes sense. Being out in nature can help, right? Working with working with coherence, so maybe doing heart breathing, right, to build more coherence, so it's not just instinctual, it's also working with resonance. So just breathing into your heart, right, to tune in to that center that will give you more foresight. Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards and see what might be medicine for my fire dominant people this week. And then we'll wrap it up. Have you asked your angels for help with this? Your angels want to help you with the situation. However, they require your permission before they can intervene in your free will choices. I have a feeling that this is, maybe right now you're working with patients and there's might be an expectation that you'll just feel more patient. But what it actually ends up happening is when you want to work on patience, work on understanding, right? Work on compassion. Anytime we're working with something, we want to grow in it. We're given opportunities to practice building the muscle. So you'll be given this signal to wait, right? Or you will be given a delay, right? Or times to practice patience. And what is the gift in practicing patience? Patience itself. So you won't just be, all of a sudden endowed with this patient feeling and vibration. You'll be given opportunities to wield that, to strengthen that muscle. So that might be what's happening here. So maybe looking at the expectation too is part of this perspective shift, right? That if you're asking for more patience, right, is that something that you just say? Maybe that's that's the phrase you took on, maybe like, oh Lord, give me patience. And you're being given opportunities to practice patience. Lots of waiting, lots of delays, people that test your nerves, right? Learning the lessons of the Temperance card. Let's pull one last card from the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck. We have Offer Your Love. Interesting, right? Because we had, it is safe for you to love. Offer your love. Is there someone in your life who could benefit from loving kindness? The gesture doesn't have to be big. Send an email, pick up the phone, pop by for a visit, or order a bouquet of posies. Let this person know that you're thinking of him or her. When we offer our love generously, that caring energy comes back to us tenfold, while also lifting us up in the process. Reach out and offer your love today. Offer your love. Maybe offer your love instead of your opinion. Right? Sometimes that's all the medicine we need. All right, I hope that was helpful. I hope something in there resonated. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for liking the video, subscribing to the channel. Check out your other dominant elements to see if there's information in there for you. If you want a personal reading or session or to donate to the channel, those links will be in the description. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, Fire Dominants. Hi there to my air dominant people. Welcome to your weekly reading for the week of June 21st, 2020. Air dominant means you are an air sign, or you looked at astro.com and saw the majority of the planets in your natal chart are in air signs. Maybe you are Vata dosha in Ayurvedic medicine, or you just want to see what's happening in the collective on the mental plane. Sometimes the info shows up that way too. Let's get started with the crystal card from Healing Crystals and see where we're starting. So we have amethyst coaxinite, I got a little, or cacoxinite. Amethyst cacoxinite. I have a small piece of this that I ordered from Healing Crystals. It's really lovely. Angelic communication, awareness, intuition. I am fully healed, balanced, and energized. I am sensing, last week, it was very heavy. I was very tired tuning into the energy of the week for all the elements. This week, I definitely have more energy. I definitely feel like there's more vitality even in my speech patterning. So I'm getting that this week, there will be a greater sense of vitality, maybe quicker thinking. I mean, air dominants are always quick thinking. Let's go to the oracle cards and see what else is coming up. Certainly awareness, intuitive meaning coming in, synchronicities, angelic communication. We have listen. Listen, so maybe taking time to meditate, right? To be mindful, to tune into your intuition, right? Preemptively instead of when you really need to do it, right? Slowing the thoughts now. So you can mindfully tune in and discern what you're getting. Sometimes it gets all jumbled in all the thoughts that are coming in, right? Use loving strength and discernment. Use loving strength and discernment. I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. Galatians chapter 1 verse 10. So some of these have Bible verses, scripture on them. Use loving strength and discernment. So getting out of pleasing mode, approval seeking behavior, this can come from childhood patterning, a childhood wound, pleasing energy. It can come from this survival instinct, and then it's carried on into adulthood. This fear of confrontation or of being rejected. So, also we hear about the parasympathetic nervous system getting into fight or flight. There's also freeze, but there's also fawn, and fawning is this pleasing, complimenting, right? So, maybe the listen is also about, wow, I just realized how high my shoulders were there. Maybe the listening is about meditating, going inside to get into rest and digest, right? Maybe doing some deep breathing, deep diaphragmatic breathing to help reset the central nervous system this week will be important, particularly if you're feeling stressed, or if anxiety is coming in. Right, sometimes when we have a boost in energy, it heightens our state, it heightens our awareness, and we can experience it as either stress or anxiety. And if so, just reset the central nervous system with some deep diaphragmatic breathing, right? That'll reset the vagus nerve. One more. I'm starting to feel all kinds of tension. I feel like it's because this stone is so heavy, this tiger eye. We have decisions. And this is a deck, I think it's called Milestones or Changes. I can't remember what this deck is called, but so last week, I think Aging Gracefully came up from the same deck, but this is so decisions are coming up. So interesting that angelic communication from the amethyst cacoxenite, as well as awareness and intuition are coming up. You're fully healed, balanced, and energized. Getting out of that parasympathetic response of the nervous system so that you're able to make a balanced decision from a state of relaxation, centeredness, coherence with all the brains in the body, right? There are neurons in the head, the heart, and the gut. So the heart is sort of the mediator there. So when we do heart breathing as well, it can help strengthen the coherence and get us in touch with the heart center, which is that seat of wisdom, right? Because we resonate with things as they come closer. And we'll be more attuned to know when something's the right match for us, when we have to decide, right? Each person's decision-making process is unique. So knowing yourself well enough, right? Some people are designed to go through an emotional cycle or a cycle of some kind before they make a decision, before, they commit to a path or a decision of some kind. Some people can get a response in the moment, right? Know whether that's coming from a place of wisdom. You'll know because it'll feel right. Right? Looking back at times you made a really good decision in the moment, what did that feel like, right? And you'll know it was a good decision because it resulted in something positive for you in your life and for those around you, right? So looking back to those times, how did you know? Right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. You know, you already have experience in your own system, in your own guidance system. Let's go to the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. And see what's the guiding force this week. Wise one. Wise one. Grow within your current situation. So maybe the decision will be to grow, right? Maybe the changes that need to happen are within, instead of trying to fix the environment, or maybe there's this sense that the outside experience has to be a certain way, or you can't accept reality, or you can't enjoy life, or you can't start living, or whatever it is, right? Interestingly, for the fire dominant people, I had the sniffles come in. And for air dominance, I'm having like a pain right here, which I acknowledge could very well be my own, but it's sort of just come upon me. And I'm thinking it might be, if anyone is experiencing that, because this isn't something that I felt at all today. So if someone else is having pain, right there at the top of the back, like by the shoulder on the left side, let me know if that's something you're experiencing. I am a physical empath as well, so sometimes I do take on those sensations, and like the sniffles aren't there anymore, but now I'm experiencing that pain. So I also feel some tension in the lower back. So, but that could just be because there's no support. It's not being supported currently. Where should we go from here? Let's go to the archetype cards by Carolyn Meese. I went a little out of order. And see what part. Interesting. Mediator. Interesting, because I was saying that the heart is the mediator between the mind and the gut, the brain and the gut. So the mediator, the light attributes: gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in personal and professional life, respect for both sides of an argument. And the shadow attribute: negotiating with an ulterior motive or hidden agenda, either personally or professionally. So gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in personal and professional life, respect for both sides of an argument. Maybe this is part of the decision you're making here. Which side you're gonna whose side you're gonna take, what side you're gonna empathize with. And then, you know, I did that a bit out of order. I usually pull the archetype card first and then the angel ancestor card. So what's coming up is grow within, the wise one showing up, right, as the guide to grow within. So maybe it's not about picking a side, maybe it's having empathy for both and mediating. Seeing both sides of a situation with fairness, something air dominant people can be quite good at. Let's pull some, let's go to the Alchemical Tarot Renewed, pull some tarot cards and see what else is coming up for this week as far as awareness. See, the awareness of the amethyst cacoxenite, the angelic communication, intuition. See, awareness can be that awareness of all sides of a situation. So you're able to mediate. Coming from your higher self, that wise one, helps you grow to practice seeing more than just one side of a situation. And listening, maybe that's also why listen came in. Use loving strength and discernment. Seeing maybe the higher wisdom of a situation instead of just trying to appease the people involved. Maybe that angelic communication will be your ability to see purpose for something that might be difficult for everyone to empathize with or to understand, and you can see kind of a higher perspective. Tuning into your intuition and angelic ability to communicate angelically with the angelic realm for information that might be helpful for everyone to see it. And maybe tuning into the heart to help. So the Chariot card is coming up. And this is quick movement. This can be driving somewhere. This can be a Cancerian influence. This can be the fight or flight, right? This can be the more like flight, just wanting to leave, get out of a situation quickly. Oftentimes with the Chariot, it's showing two sphinxes, right? This is designed differently. But this is two horses who are pointed in different directions. And the driver sort of has to steer these horses to work together, right? To move in the same direction. Or this chariot will be torn apart, right? So maybe there is something to working as a mediator. And it could be internally too, with different moving parts within yourself. Just listening, hearing them out. Well, yeah, we got listen. It can also be, there's something too when there's two polarized parts that believe in two polar opposite beliefs. If we can hold them both together, hold them both in our minds, it can neutralize any charged energy there. So that's called juxtaposition. So that can be represented by this card as well. And then we have Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is karmic resolution, right? End of a cycle, cycling through. There's a Jupiterian influence here. It can be good fortune, good luck. even destiny, right? Interesting that the choice card comes up with the Seven of Vessels, although there's one clear choice with the chalice there, and that's transformation with the Ten of Staffs here. Phoenix rising, transformation. So inner growth, growing into a new experience. Maybe by collapsing a couple of triggers, by holding polarized thoughts up at the same time, allowing it to neutralize any charged energy, right? And listening to those parts that come up for yourself and acting as mediator. You'll be able to do so for others. And knowing that your true self is that higher aspect, right? The part that can observe these moving parts and bring them healing light and energy. So let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards. See what might be medicine from the angels, since there'll be some angelic communication. Manifestation power. Use your spiritual gifts and natural abilities to attract your desired outcome. So this is similar to use loving strength and discernment, right? Not trying to win the approval of others, but standing in your integrity and owning your purpose, right? Knowing that you're co-creating. And tuning into your spiritual gifts this week of intuition and listening and trusting that, right? Maybe you will be tempted to ignore it. Maybe there will be people that will tell you no, that it doesn't sound right to me, or maybe though that will be a part of you that doesn't want to believe or trust. And you're being called to act as a mediator there. To just listen, observe, and acknowledge maybe the parts of you that need to transform, right? To grow. And tuning into however that wants to process, allowing it to happen. One last card from the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr. And we have Listen. Listen's coming up again. Interesting, right? It's amazing how the cards work. Are you talking more than you're listening? Do you finish people's sentences for them? Shh. True connection is about how we make people feel and whether or not we're being open and present. Life is communicating with you, dear one. An important message is trying to get through. Let go of your fear of not being heard. You'll get your chance. For now, just listen. Just listen. Right? And And the more we listen, the more we learn and the more we grow. All right. I hope that resonates. I hope that was inspiring for this week and helpful. Listen to your other dominant elements and see if there's more information there. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. If you want a personal reading or session or to donate to the channel, those links will be in the description of the video. Thanks for the donations. It really helps me out. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, Air Dominant.